Every billionaire you admire has one skill in common: they understand financial accounting. Jeff Bezos, Warren Buffett, Elon Musk, all of them. But here's the brutal truth: most ACCA FA students fail, not because the paper is impossible, but because they treat it like a boring math drill instead of what it truly is: the language of business. That's the first mistake, and it's the mistake that silently kills ambitions. Because financial accounting isn't about passing an exam, it's about whether you'll ever be able to run a business, analyze investments, or even survive the later ACCA papers that demand FA as their foundation. Now think about this. Picture a young entrepreneur who launched a small e-commerce business. He had good products, great marketing, and even managed to raise some investor money. But within 2 years, the business collapsed. Why? Not because of competition, not because of lack of sales, but because he never understood his own financial statements. He didn't know how much of his revenue was actual profit versus just cash flowing in and out. He confused cash with profit, burned through inventory, and didn't notice mounting liabilities until it was too late. Now contrast that with Warren Buffett, who built an empire worth hundreds of billions by simply doing one thing every single day: reading financial statements. That's the difference between failure and unimaginable success. And that's why financial accounting matters more than you think. Most students think FA is a hurdle they just have to cross, a stepping stone before the real ACCA subjects. But in reality, FA is the compass, the map, and the dictionary that translates numbers into decisions. If you can't read a financial statement, you can't truly understand a business. And if you can't understand a business, your ACCA journey will always feel shaky. That's why I'm saying this bluntly: mastering FA is not optional. It's the single biggest predictor of your success in ACCA and beyond. Now, let's break it down in a way you've never seen before. Imagine you're buying your daily Starbucks coffee. You hand over $5, and the barista gives you your latte. For you, it's just coffee. For an accountant, it's a double-entry system in action: debit cash received, credit sales revenue. That's not theory. That's real life happening in every transaction. Or take a trial balance. For most students, it's just another table to balance under exam pressure. But in reality, it's the ultimate calm in the storm. Students panic when their trial balance doesn't balance, but accountants, they know it's just a process of elimination, a detective game. Now picture Apple releasing its annual report. Behind the glossy product launches, what really matters to investors isn't the new iPhone. It's the financial statements, revenue, profit margins, and retained earnings. That's exactly what you're learning in FA, except most students don't connect the dots. Even something as boring sounding as a bank reconciliation is alive in your own life. Ever noticed your Netflix subscription being deducted automatically from your account? That's a reconciliation issue waiting to happen if your bank records and Netflix's charges don't align. Suddenly, FA isn't just syllabus coverage, it's your everyday life translated into numbers. But here's where most students go wrong. There are 3 fatal mistakes in FA, and they're so common you'll probably recognize yourself in at least one. The first is memorizing formats instead of understanding principles. Students try to force templates into their brain, thinking they can reproduce them in the exam, but when the examiner twists the scenario even slightly, they're lost. The second is ignoring practice of MCQs. ACCA FA is not about regurgitating notes, it's about applying concepts to practical scenarios. If you're not solving hundreds of questions, you're not training your brain for the real exam. And the third fatal mistake? Neglecting time management. I've seen brilliant students who knew everything, who could explain concepts better than their teachers, still fail FA because they spent too much time perfecting the first question and left half the paper untouched. Imagine walking out of the exam knowing you had the knowledge but couldn't finish. It's a brutal way to fail, and it happens more than you think. Now let's talk solutions. At Education Bench, we don't believe in generic study plans. We've created something sharper: the FA Success Planner. Think of it as your personal battle map for the next 8 weeks. Weeks 1 and 2 are all about building your foundation. You focus on double entry and trial balances, but not in a vacuum. You practice them through real-world examples. Record your own Starbucks purchase or track your monthly expenses like rent, groceries, and subscriptions as journal entries. By week 3 and 4, you move into non-current assets and adjustments. Imagine Tesla building a gigafactory. That factory isn't just a physical structure, it's an asset that depreciates over time. Connect depreciation concepts to Tesla's financials, and suddenly it clicks. Weeks 5 and 6 shift your focus to financial statements, both for sole traders and limited companies. This is where students usually get overwhelmed, but if you build step by step, it's just storytelling in numbers. Think of a sole trader like a local bakery owner, then compare that to Apple or Amazon filing their reports. The principles are the same, just the scale is different. Weeks 7 and 8 are where the magic happens. You practice exam questions, timed mock papers, and past papers until you can handle them in your sleep. By the time you walk into the exam, nothing can surprise you. That's the Education Bench FA Success Planner, and it's designed to take away the fear and replace it with clarity. And if you think FA is just about exams, you're missing the real story. Financial accounting is everywhere in the real world. Look at Amazon. Every time you order something, revenue recognition rules kick in. When do they recognize the sale? At the time of order, dispatch, or delivery. That's FA in action. Look at Netflix. You pay for a monthly subscription. How do they account for it? It's deferred income until the month passes, then recognized as revenue. Even your favorite company's profit and loss statements are just extensions of the FA principles you're learning today. And here's the ironic twist. Accountants run the world, but rarely get the credit. The CEOs make the headlines, but without accountants ensuring the numbers are real, those CEOs would be standing on sand. So here's what you need to do. Subscribe to Education Bench because this isn't just exam prep. This is your survival kit in the business world. In our next video, we'll connect FA with real stock market investing so you can see how the same principles help you evaluate billion-dollar companies. You don't want to miss it. Hit the subscribe button, share this video with anyone who's struggling with FA, and let's build a generation of accountants who don't just pass exams, but understand the real power of financial accounting.